Hello everyone, have you ever wondered about the coins in your pocket? They have a long and fascinating story. Before Korea had its own coins, people used a system called barter. This means they traded goods directly. For example, a farmer might trade a bag of rice for some fish from a fisherman. They also used other items as a form of money. Things like grain, cloth, and even special kinds of knives were used in these trades. This system worked for a long time, but it wasn't always easy. Imagine trying to figure out how many fish a pot is worth. It could get very complicated, especially as society grew larger and trade became more common. As trade with neighboring countries grew, new ideas started to arrive. The biggest influence came from China. Chinese coins, like the banliang and wuzhu, began to appear in Korea. These were round coins with a square hole in the middle. This design was very practical because it allowed people to string many coins together for easier carrying. Korean people saw how useful these coins were. They were easier to carry than a big bag of rice and made trading much simpler. These foreign coins were used for hundreds of years, especially for big transactions or trade with other countries. They planted the seed for Korea to one day create its very own money. The use of Chinese coins was a big step forward. It showed that Korea was becoming more connected to the rest of Asia. Merchants and traders traveling along ancient routes brought not just goods, but also new financial concepts. People learned that money could be a standard unit of value, making all transactions fairer and more consistent. Instead of arguing over the value of a piece of cloth, everyone could agree on the value of a coin. This period was a slow transition, a time of learning and adapting. The idea of a national currency had not yet fully formed, but the groundwork was being laid for a major change in how the economy would function. This initial exposure to coinage was incredibly important for Korea's economic development. It introduced the concept of a centralized currency, something that would be crucial for future Korean kingdoms. While barter and the use of goods like rice continued in local villages for a long time, the presence of coins in major markets and trade hubs signaled a shift toward a more modern economy. It was the beginning of a long journey. From these early Chinese coins, Korea would eventually take the bold step of minting its own currency, a symbol of its growing identity and independence. This was the very first chapter in the long and exciting story of Korean money. The Goryeo dynasty was a time of great change for Korea. It was during this period, around the year 996, that the very first Korean coin was made. This was a huge moment. The coin was called Gaeonwon Jungbo. It was made of iron and looked very similar to the Chinese coins that people were already using. It was round with a square hole in the center, a design that was familiar and practical. This coin was a powerful statement. It showed that the Goryeo kingdom was strong and organized enough to create its own money. It was a symbol of national pride and a step toward economic independence from its powerful neighbor China. However, making coins was one thing, but getting people to use them was another. Most people were still very used to the old ways of barter. They trusted rice and cloth more than these new metal discs. So, even though the government tried hard to promote the Gaeonwon Jungbo, it wasn't very popular at first. The government even offered rewards to people who used the coins, trying to encourage their circulation. Despite these efforts, the economy remained largely based on trading goods. The first attempt at a national currency was a learning experience. It showed that changing people's habits takes a lot of time and effort. Later in the Goryeo dynasty, other coins were introduced. These included coins made of bronze, like the Samhan Tongbo and Haedong Tongbo. These coins were a bit more successful than the first iron ones. The government really wanted to establish a money-based economy. They believed it would make the country stronger and easier to manage. King Sukjong in particular was a big supporter of coinage. He established a government office specifically for minting coins and pushed for their widespread use. He understood that a successful currency system could help the government collect taxes more easily and manage the nation's wealth more effectively. Despite these new efforts, the use of coins in the Goryeo dynasty never fully replaced the barter system. People in the countryside, far from the capital, continued to trade with goods for many more centuries. The coins were mostly used by the government, aristocrats and merchants in big cities. However, the Goryeo period was a critical starting point. It was Korea's first real experiment with creating a national currency. The lessons learned during this time would be very important for the next dynasty, the Joseon, which would finally succeed in making coins a part of everyday life for everyone. The Goryeo dynasty planted the seeds that would one day grow into a full-fledged monetary system. When the Joseon dynasty began, the dream of a national currency was still alive. Early in the dynasty there were several attempts to create a standard coin, but none were truly successful. People still preferred to use cloth or rice for their daily transactions. But everything changed in 1678 during the reign of King Sukjong, the same name as the Goryeo king, but a different person. This is when the famous Sangpyeong Tongbo was introduced. This coin would become the most successful and longest-lasting currency in Korean history. It was used for over 200 years, an incredible achievement. The name Sangpyeong Tongbo meant always even currency, which showed the government's goal of creating a stable and fair money system. What made the Sangpyeong Tongbo so special? First, the government was very determined to make it work. They set up mints all over the country to produce large quantities of the coins. They also created a system where the coins could be exchanged for rice, which helped people trust their value. The coin was made of bronze, was round with a square hole, and had 4 Chinese characters on it. These characters, Sangpyeong Tongbo, were easy to recognize. This coin became the standard for all kinds of payments, from buying food at the market to paying taxes. It truly unified the country's economy in a way that had never been done before. The design of the Sangpyeong Tongbo also had hidden meanings. On the back of the coins, there were often characters or symbols that indicated where the coin was minted. This helped the government keep track of coin production. It's like how modern coins have mint marks. As the years went by, many different versions of the Sangpyeong Tongbo were made. Some were larger, some were smaller, and they were made at dozens of different government mints. For coin collectors today, finding all the different varieties of Sangpyeong Tongbo is a fun and challenging hobby. These coins tell a story of a unified and stable economy that lasted for centuries. The long reign of the Sangpyeong Tongbo finally came to an end in the late 19th century. At that time, Korea was facing immense pressure from foreign powers and needed to modernize its economy quickly. A new, more modern style of currency was needed, but the legacy of the Sangpyeong Tongbo is undeniable. It was the first coin that was truly accepted and used by everyone in Korea, from the king in his palace to the farmer in the field. It created a common economic language and helped the Joseon dynasty prosper for a very long time. It remains one of the most important and iconic symbols of pre-modern Korea. As the 19th century came to a close, Korea was undergoing a dramatic transformation. In 1897, King Gojong declared the founding of the Korean Empire, signaling a desire to be a modern, independent nation. A key part of this modernization plan was to reform the country's currency. The old Sangpyeong Tongbo with its square hole was seen as outdated. The new empire wanted coins that looked like those being used in the West, such as in America and Europe. This was a symbolic move to show the world that Korea was an equal player on the international stage. The government established a modern mint, the Yongsan Jeonhwanguk, equipped with machinery imported from Germany. The first modern coins of the Korean Empire were introduced in the 1890s. The currency unit was changed from the old mun to a new one called the yang. These coins were very different from what people were used to. They were struck by machines, not cast in molds, which made them look much cleaner and more uniform. They also did not have the traditional square hole. Instead, they featured beautiful and symbolic new designs. For example, the coins often featured a plum blossom, which was the symbol of the royal family, and a dragon, which represented the power and authority of the emperor. These designs were a powerful declaration of national identity. The denominations of these new coins were 1 John, 5 John, 1/4 yang, 1 yang, and 5 yang. There was even a silver 5 yang coin, and a small number of gold coins. This was a complete monetary system, similar to those in Western countries. The coins proudly displayed the country's new name, Daehan, meaning Great Han, and the regnal year of the emperor. Everything about these coins was designed to project an image of a new, strong, and sovereign nation. They were not just pieces of money. They were symbols of Emperor Gojong's dream for a modern and independent Korea, free from foreign interference and ready to embrace the new century. Unfortunately, this era of monetary independence was short-lived. The Korean Empire was under intense political pressure from its neighbors, especially Japan. The new currency system faced many challenges, including inflation and counterfeiting. Despite the beautiful designs and modern technology, the economic and political situation was unstable. Japan's influence was growing stronger every day, and it began to interfere with Korea's financial affairs. The dream of a completely independent and modern Korean currency represented by these beautiful coins would soon be overshadowed by a dark period in the nation's history. The coins of the Korean Empire remain a poignant reminder of a brief, hopeful moment of modernization and sovereignty. The period of Japanese colonial rule, which began in 1910, brought a swift and total end to the Korean Empire's monetary independence. Japan took control of every aspect of Korean society, including its financial system. One of the first things they did was abolish the Korean won, which had replaced the yang in 1902, and replace it with the Korean yen. This new currency was issued by the Bank of Joseon, which was, completely controlled by the Japanese. The value of the Korean yen was tied directly to the Japanese yen, effectively making the Korean economy a part of Japan's. This was a powerful tool of colonial control, erasing a key symbol of Korean sovereignty. The coins and banknotes from this period looked very different from the ones from the Korean Empire. The beautiful Korean designs, like the dragon and the plum blossom, were gone. Instead, the new currency featured designs that were approved by the Japanese colonial government. For example, some coins featured a phoenix, a symbol associated with the Japanese emperor, or other Japanese-style patterns. The Korean language on the currency was often secondary to the Japanese language. This was a deliberate act to suppress Korean national identity and force assimilation into Japanese culture. The money in people's hands was a constant reminder of their loss of independence. As World War II intensified, the economic situation in Korea became very difficult. Japan needed resources for its war effort, so it began to produce coins from cheaper materials. Bronze and silver coins were replaced with ones made of aluminum or other low-value metals. In the final years of the war, there was a severe metal shortage, and Japan even stopped minting many coins altogether. The currency became unstable, and people's savings lost much of their value. This period was marked by economic hardship and the stripping of Korean resources for the benefit of the Japanese Empire. The currency of the time perfectly reflects the grim reality of colonial exploitation. When Korea was finally liberated in 1945, the currency was in a state of chaos. The Korean yen was still in circulation, but its value was uncertain. The end of Japanese rule left a financial vacuum. The new government of a liberated Korea would face the enormous task of rebuilding the economy from scratch. This included creating a brand new currency that could serve as a symbol of their regained freedom and national pride. The money from the colonial period is a painful but important part of Korea's history. It stands as a stark reminder of the importance of economic sovereignty and the deep scars left by foreign domination. Section 6. A fresh start, the one after liberation and war. After Korea's liberation in 1945, the country was filled with hope, but also faced incredible challenges. The first step towards economic independence was to create a new currency. The old Japanese-controlled yen was replaced by a new currency, issued by the newly established Bank of Korea. This new money was once again called the However. The country was divided, and the economy was in ruins after decades of colonial rule. To make matters worse, the Korean War broke out in 1950, causing unimaginable destruction and economic chaos. During the war, the currency experienced extreme inflation, meaning that money lost its value very, very quickly. It was a time of great instability. In 1953, right after the Korean War ended, the government had to take drastic measures to control the rampant inflation. They introduced a currency reform, creating a new unit called the. One new was equal to 100 of the old. This was an attempt to reset the economy and stabilize prices. The first coins of the Republic of Korea were issued in 1959 under the system. The denominations were 10, 50, and 100. These coins were a significant symbol of recovery. They were the first coins minted by an independent South Korea, and their designs proudly featured national symbols, a clear break from the colonial past. The 100 coin was particularly interesting. It featured a portrait of South Korea's first president, Syngman Rhee. However, after he was overthrown in 1960, the government decided to stop using his image on the currency. The The coins were redesigned to feature more neutral and cultural symbols. For example, the new 100 coin showed two stalks of rice, representing the country's agricultural roots, and hope for prosperity. This change showed how currency can reflect political shifts and the evolving identity of a nation. The focus moved from a single political figure to symbols that all Koreans could share and be proud of. The currency served its purpose during the difficult post-war reconstruction period. However, the economy was still fragile. Another monetary reform was needed to set the stage for South Korea's future economic growth. This would lead to the introduction of the modern South Korean that is still in use today. The period of the First and the was a turbulent but crucial chapter. It was a time of survival and rebuilding. The coins from this era tell a story of a nation struggling to get back on its feet, fighting against inflation, and slowly but surely, laying the foundation for the miracle on the Han River that was to come. Section 7. The coins we know today. South Korea's modern currency. In 1962, South Korea underwent its final major currency reform. This is when the modern South Korean was introduced, with 10 being exchanged for one new. This change marked the beginning of a new era of economic development. The first coins in this new series were the 1, 5, and 10 coins. The 1 and 5 coins were initially made of brass, while the 10 coin was made of bronze. These are the coins that many Koreans grew up with. Their designs were simple and elegant, featuring important national symbols. The 1 coin showed the Rose of Sharon, Korea's national flower. The 5 coin featured the Goryeo, or turtle ship, a famous armored warship from the Joseon dynasty. As South Korea's economy grew rapidly during the 1960s and 70s, higher value coins were needed. In 1966, the 50 coin was introduced, followed by the 100 coin in 1970. These coins quickly became essential for everyday life. The 50 coin features a stalk of rice, a symbol of agricultural prosperity and sustenance. The 100 coin is one of the most recognizable coins in Korea. It features a portrait of Admiral Yi Sun-sin, a legendary naval hero who famously led the Korean Navy to victory against invading Japanese forces in the 16th century. He is a powerful symbol of courage, patriotism, and resilience. In 1982, the entire coin series was redesigned to have a more unified look, and a new 500 coin was added. This large coin was needed because of inflation and the growing economy. The 500 coin features a crane, a bird that symbolizes longevity and good fortune in Korean culture. The other coins were also updated. The 10 coin was redesigned to feature Dabotap Pagoda, a famous stone pagoda from the Silla dynasty located at Bulguksa Temple. The materials of the coins were also changed over the years to reduce costs. For example, the 10 coin, once made of bronze, is now made of cheaper copper-clad aluminum. Besides the regular coins, the Bank of Korea also issues special commemorative coins to celebrate important national events. These coins honor things like the Olympic Games held in Seoul in 1988, the 2002 FIFA World Cup, and significant historical anniversaries. These commemorative coins are often made of silver or gold and have beautiful, intricate designs. They are highly sought after by collectors both in Korea and around the world. They serve as miniature historical records, capturing moments of national pride and achievement. This entire series of modern coins tells the story of South Korea's incredible economic journey from a developing nation to a global economic powerhouse. Section 8. The future is here. Korea's move toward a coinless society. Even as we appreciate the history of our coins, their future is becoming uncertain. South Korea is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world, and this has changed the way we use money. More and more people are using credit cards, debit cards, and mobile payment apps on their smartphones. It's so convenient to just tap your card or phone to pay for coffee, a taxi, or groceries. Because of this, physical cash, especially coins, is being used less and less. Many people find carrying coins to be inconvenient. They are heavy, they make your pockets bulge, and you often end up with a jar full of them at home. In 2017, the Bank of Korea launched a pilot program with the goal of creating a coinless society. The idea wasn't to get rid of coins completely, but to reduce their circulation and the costs associated with minting and managing them. The program allows customers at certain stores, like convenience stores and supermarkets, to deposit their change directly onto a prepaid card or into a mobile payment account. This means you don't have to receive a handful of coins back after making a cash purchase. The program has been quite successful and shows a clear trend toward digital transactions over physical cash. There are many benefits to moving towards a coinless society. For the government and the central bank, it saves a lot of money. Minting new coins every year is expensive, and so is collecting, sorting, and managing the ones already in circulation. For businesses, it can make transactions faster and reduce the hassle of handling cash. For consumers, it offers convenience. Imagine never having to search for the right change again. However, there are also concerns. Not everyone is comfortable with digital payments, especially some elderly people. There are also questions about privacy and security when all transactions are electronic. The journey towards a coinless or cashless society is a global trend, and South Korea is at the forefront of this change. While it's unlikely that coins will disappear completely in the near future, their role in our daily lives is clearly shrinking. The 1 and 5 coins are already rarely seen in circulation and are produced mainly for collectibles. The story of Korean coins might be entering its final chapter. From barter to metal discs to digital data, the evolution of money reflects our society's technological progress. The little metal coins in our history museums may one day be the only reminders of how we used to pay for things. Section 9. More than money. What coins tell us about Korea's journey? When we look back at the long history of Korean coins, we see much more than just money. We see the story of a nation. Each coin is like a small-time capsule, capturing the spirit, challenges, and aspirations of its era. The very first attempts at coinage during the Goryeo dynasty show a kingdom striving to establish its own identity, separate from its powerful neighbors. The widespread success of the Joseon dynasty reflects a period of stability, unity, and a well-organized society. These simple bronze coins helped build a nation and an economy that lasted for centuries. The dramatic changes in the late 19th and early 20th centuries are clearly visible in the currency. The beautiful modern coins of the Korean Empire, with their proud dragons and royal blossoms, represent a fleeting dream of independence and modernization. This dream was harshly interrupted as shown by the currency of the colonial period, which stripped away Korean symbols and imposed foreign control. The money from that time is a somber reminder of a painful past and the struggle to maintain a national identity against overwhelming odds. The story of the coins is the story of the people's resilience. After liberation, the coins tell a story of rebirth and determination. The turbulent years of the currency show a nation struggling to rebuild from the ashes of war and fighting against economic chaos. Then came the modern coins, the ones we know so well today. Admiral Yi Sun-sin on the 100 coin and the crane on the 500. Coin are not just designs, they are symbols of the Korean spirit. They represent the courage, resilience, and hope for prosperity that fueled South Korea's incredible transformation into the economic and cultural powerhouse it is today. These coins were in the pockets of the people who built this modern nation. And now, as we move towards a coinless society, our money continues to reflect our journey. The shift from physical coins to digital payments shows Korea's position as a global leader in technology and innovation. The story is not over, it is simply changing form. From trading rice and cloth, to casting bronze coins with square holes, to minting modern coins with national heroes, and now to tapping a smartphone, the way we exchange value has constantly evolved. The history of Korean coins is a mirror reflecting the nation's incredible journey, a story of survival, identity, and relentless progress. It's a story we can all be proud of.